Black Twitter has a documentary of how Black Twitter came to be and how people who weren't Black were like, where's Black Twitter? But I put this out there because in this month that tends to be on the calendar a form of home. I raised the question, number one, like, what are your thoughts about where we build our brands and where we build our identities to an extent, and then when this space, and then number two, I think we're going to kind of end with, what do people need to do to, what are the considerations that Black creatives need to take moving forward, as entrepreneurs especially use these platforms to get revenue, to get income, to stay relevant, but also to learn from each other and to connect with people that they had never met before. So I just wanted to know if there are thoughts that you had on either one of those, most notably, like, what happens when home on the range ain't home no more.
When we become homeless, when we become digitally homeless, out in these digital streets, right? At Black Innovation Alliance, we're always thinking about how we access ownership and how we leverage ownership to drive wealth. And one of the challenges that we have had in our community is being able to build and scale digital platforms that can function as our creative home. So we always have to show up at other people's house. Whether it's Twitter and say, can I have a room in your house? TikTok, can I have a room in your house? YouTube, can I have a room in your house? And then they say, sure, but here are the conditions. Okay. And here are all the ways that I'm going to monetize off your guests. And as a matter of fact, when you leave, all your stuff stay here with me. You can't take none of it with you. None of the relationships, none of the connections, it all stays here. So we are at a place where we need to figure out, like, are we going to continue to be vulnerable to these externalities that determine whether or not we have a digital home? And we know it at BIA that it's so hard to get the access to the capital necessary to build these things. And then if you get access to the capital, how do you build it with the kind of core capabilities for reach, for scale? These are things that we're trying to figure out at BIA all the time. What content is going to connect? How do you get people on the platform? How do you get them to stay? How do you get them to engage? And a lot of us don't necessarily have access to the expertise because you got to pay for it. So we learning on the job, on a steep learning curve. And by the time we done figure something out, the money is gone. So it's not that we digitally homeless because we ain't trying. We're digitally homeless because there are all of these factors and hurdles that keep us from being able to do it ourselves. So, what's next? I don't know. It's going to be somebody else's house that we're staying in, but we're going to build our own house.